Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 379 of A Yank on the Footy. I'm Craig Wessels coming to you from cold Sandusky, Ohio. We had an actually decent day the last couple of days where we got up into the 60s in Fahrenheit, and I realized every day I'm in my 60s. But we're here to preview the 2025 AFL season. I'm going to tell you who's going to win all the major awards. I'm going to tell you who's going to be playing finals, who's going to win the grand final. And we're also going to have a little bit of fun doing this. And I've hinted about this in some earlier episodes. I've discussed this idea with some other people as well, and they thought it was a rather unique one. And we're going to see how it's going to go because I've already recorded it. So we'll see what happens. And what's going to be going on here in just a moment is that I'm going to be giving you two ladder predictions. One, my actual one that I'm predicting. But as you'll see in the first part of the video, in the first part of the podcast, I'm going to give you one that's going to be a little bit more random, and I'll let that one be explained to you as I go into it. But suffice to say, I think a case could be made that possibly 15 or 16 clubs could find their way into the finals. I'm not saying that they've got a huge opportunity to play finals, but they've got a little bit of a chance. So I take that into consideration, and this is one that I hope you'll listen to it on audio, of course, but I think you're going to appreciate this one much more on video on my YouTube channel than on audio. But I hope you'll check it out on audio. All right, because that's my first love, my first format there. But this one is much more than just audio. There's a lot of a visual element to this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget you can find everything about my podcast over at my website, ayankonthefooty.com. I do hope you'll get on the mailing list over there. I hope you'll check out the blog page. Okay, if you want to help out the podcast, you can click on that Buy Me a Coffee button, but a review would be the best way to help out, along with sharing this episode with your friends and family. And quite frankly, when you see what I've done with the ladder prediction for this year, you're probably going to want to share this one. And again, it's purely for entertainment purposes only because I don't know anything. All right, I've established that over the years, and although I did get Brisbane right last year, so I did have that going for me. But I also had St. Kilda and Adelaide in I think the top five. So I certainly screwed that one up a little bit as well. But you can find me all my socials linked over there on X at Yank_on, a Yank on the Footy podcast on Facebook, a Yank on the Footy on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Look for my name, Craig Wessels. I'd love to follow you there as well. But I think we're going to have some fun with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the first ladder prediction of the two. And let me give you a little hint. There's actually going to be a bonus one at the end. There will actually be a third one. And this was the one that I did purely as practice, just to see how this was going to work. The camera work was not great. Granted, let's be honest, the camera work with what they've got to work with my mug ain't very good to begin with anyway. So the first one you're going to see, I actually filmed in my classroom this morning at about 6:15 in the morning. So I hope you enjoy it. I tried to make strong arguments as to how each of these fell. Certainly some very, very interesting positions on the ladder. And they don't necessarily match up with my actual ladder. So let's go ahead and dive into that, folks.
Hi, everybody. Craig Wessels here from Yank on the Footy, and I'm here to share with you my ladder predictions for this year. But my ladder predictions are a little different than anyone I've ever seen before. I will say that last year I did tip Brisbane to win the premiership, so I got that right. So pretty thrilled about that. Of course, I had St. Kilda, I believe, number 3 on the ladder, and Adelaide number 4 or 5 last year. So certainly got those wrong as well. But I decided to try to do something a little differently. And I'm actually going to be doing 2 ladders this year. Okay? The first one I already have written down on this notepad. It's on the other side. And we'll talk about that one in a little bit. But I wanted to try something a little bit differently because I think we could make a valid argument that, quite frankly, we don't know who the hell is going to be in the top 8 this year. I think you could legitimately make a serious, mostly serious argument that maybe 16 clubs could play finals this year. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and do it a little bit randomly. So I decided to do something a little unique here. So I stopped off at a local craft store, and I picked up these little wooden beads, okay? And I've numbered them, for example, number 18 there. And I also picked up little wooden blocks like this, and I wrote the team names for each of the 18 clubs on there, okay? Now, I did go ahead and make a command decision on this because after all, it's my ladder prediction, so what are you gonna do, sue me? So I've pulled 2 clubs out already who I believe are maybe the 2 that right now are not likely going to have an opportunity to play finals this year. And I apologize. I think Richmond supporters, you know that that's likely the case. This is going to be a tough year, but remember these 3 premierships in the last few years. I talked to a great Richmond supporter, Peter, who was a little frustrated about going back to the 37-year drought. And I said, well, remember the 3 in 4 years, but then also think about, do you feel as though the time period that you're in right now with this rechurning, this regeneration of the list is a better situation than any of those 37 years that you remember? And you kind of felt a little bit better about that. So, number 18, okay? That's going to be the Richmond Tigers. Number 17 are going to be the West Coast Eagles. Okay? Now, the rest of my ladder is in here. Let's give it a little spin. Plus, let's be honest, the rest of the ladder is here on this desk in my classroom as well, somewhere. This is about as arbitrary as what's in here right now. So let's go ahead and see what happens, okay? Not looking, so let's go ahead and pull out our first ladder position. Number 5. Number 5 on the ladder. And we are going with the Sydney Swans. The Sydney Swans, number 5 on the ladder. Get healthy, Earl Gooden. Our next spot on the ladder. Ooh, top 2 spot. We are going big. Going big here already. Our number 2 spot on the ladder. Port Adelaide. Kenny Hinckley gets it together one more time to make another shot at a premiership before he steps aside. There you go. Our next spot on the ladder, number 12. Okay, here's the first club that we're going to be tipping that's not playing finals. The GWS Giants. Interesting. Will Tom Green be back? How bad is the little niggle that Jesse Hogan has? Is Jake Stringer going to help assimilate there, or could he possibly upset what was a fairly solid forward line last year? We shall see, but they're finishing number 12. Number 3 on the ladder, so we're halfway through our top 4 already. Number 3 on the ladder. The Adelaide Crows. Wow. Both Adelaide clubs getting a double chance. Matty Nix, I think that might get you another contract. Because let's be honest, you need to play finals this year if you're planning on being back there next year. You got a hell of a lot of talent on that side. You need to put it together now. So, we've got 3 of our top 8 already, and 3 of the 10 sitting outside the 8. Number 15. Number 15. Here we go. Let's see. My club is still out there, if you're not sure. Well, that ought to be a good indicator. Well, they rocket up the ladder one year, they fall back down the ladder the next year. Is that legit? Is Hawthorn going to tumble that much? Who knows? Are they going to? Is the league going to catch up to their style of play and their speed? We shall see. But that's what the coffee container says. Number 16. Even a slightly worse spot than Hawthorn is finding themselves in. Carlton Blues. Will the injuries that Carlton are having this year be too much for them to overcome in the beginning of the year? I mean, Brisbane came back from a horrendous start to 2024 to hoist the flag. Can Carlton weather the storm of all the injuries they have right now? I mean, there's a lot of people thinking that they may take a tumble. Are they going to drop all the way to 16? I don't know, but the bucket says so. Number four on the ladder already. You know who I'm hooping. Who I'm hooping, I hope. Pull out of here. Again, I'm not looking because, as you can see, I can't see inside of here at all. Well, we have our first shocker. We have our first absolute shocker on this ladder. And if you've listened to my preview episodes, I have argued and thought that this club could possibly make a leap this year. I think they brought in some very good veterans that are going to help throughout the ground. And they've got a tremendous 3-time premiership winning coach. That's right. The North Melbourne Kangaroos are getting a double chance, according to my coffee container. Okay? So, we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. So we only have 4 spots left in the 8. The number 1 spot is still out there. GWS is off the board. Carlton is off the board. Could it be Gold Coast? Are St. Kilda going to weather their injuries? Number 11, and this is number 12 here, so there's number 11. Move that down a little bit more. And our number 11 team, the Gold Coast Suns. The Gold Coast Suns. I think they're going to be improved, but I think also they're maybe not quite ready for prime time. Is Matty Rowell's possible departure going to be a distraction for them? I don't know. We'll find out soon enough, won't we? Number 6. Just in case you're curious, I did write the word 6 on the back, but number 6 on the ladder. We got 3 spots available left in the 8 after this one. Collingwood Magpies. The Collingwood Magpies. Going to be playing a cutthroat final this year. I could certainly see it. I just really am concerned about, and again, this is a 61-year-old man telling you this, but I worry about their older players. And I say that with tongue firmly planted in cheek because they're not old. I'm old. I worry about their older players all getting old at the same time. If that were to happen, I don't care how good Nick and Josh are. They're not going to be able to carry the club on their own. I don't care how great Dan Houston's going to be for them. It's not going to be enough. I still am concerned about how they're going to score enough points. I really am. Okay? I really worry about their forward structure and getting enough goals on the board. Midfield, very good. Defense, pretty solid. Can they score enough? Would Ross Lyon from 15 years ago be a good coach for this club at this point in time? I don't know. Okay, here's our next position. Number 14. Number 14. My club is still in here. Let's be honest, I don't want them finishing 14th. I want them over here, not over there. But I'm not looking. The Melbourne Demons finishing 14th. Could we see that happening, to be completely honest? There's been so much dysfunction in this club over the last year, whether it be how they handled the Petrarca injury, which supposedly he's gotten past. Is Simon Goodwin going to be there next year? Is Max gone as good a shape as he's saying? Is he saying he's the best shape of his life? But what else can you expect somebody to say? Is he going to say, I'm a complete wreck? He's not going to do that. He can't do that. He's got to say he's in the best shape of his life. And how much of a distraction is the possible departure of Kazi Pickett going to be to them? Okay? I really wonder that. And Clayton Oliver, very interesting year last year. Rather dysfunctional season, but supposedly he's been a trooper this year. And if he is, he's a phenomenal player. That 14 could be completely off. Okay? And this is why I'm doing this. Because even some of these clubs that are down here, the Hawthorn certainly can play finals. Melbourne has got all the talent in the world to come play finals. Okay? That's why I'm doing this, because this is so friggin' arbitrary this year. I think it's going to be one hell of a season. Because, as I said, pretty much everybody from here over, if you're watching on video, if you're listening, well, you're going to want to watch this on video because it's a little bit a better representation of this. But I'm talking you through it. Any of these clubs, I think, could make an argument to play finals. And certainly we could argue whether the Roos would possibly be up there in the number 4 spot. Okay? Number 10, and I believe this is number 11 here. Yes, it is. So our number 10 spot, well, this has been a very trendy club to play in the grand final this year. And they just signed their coach to a rather interesting contract that I don't quite understand as of yet, but well, we'll see how it turns out for them. But evidently, the Fremantle Dockers are going to find themselves outside the 8 yet again. So we'll find out just how well that contract actually is going to go. We're still looking for a number 1 side. Number 7. The Geelong Cats. The Geelong Cats finishing number 7. Okay, I'm relieved they're in the 8. Do I think they're a better side than the spot on the 7? I don't know. It's a lot to ask of Shannon Neal to put together a full season, replacing Tom Hawkins. You're 2 years removed from Joel Selwood being there, playing Paddy Dangerfield up forward more. It's going to be interesting. They've infused a lot of young talent in there. I think that moving young Mr. Sam DeConing into the ruck, as we're still waiting for Toby Conway to finally get healthy, could be interesting. And I think that this could open up some spots in the defensive structure for them as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with them this year. But hey, if they're in the top 8, the trip I was going to make this year before my wife's diagnosis would have been worth it then. Had they been down here at like number 16, something like that, I'd have thought, well, was that a really good investment? But this 7, I'd be very happy with that. Let's be honest. I don't care if they would have won the wooden spoon. Just the fact that I was able to get there to see them play in person would have been absolutely awesome. It's going to happen someday, just not in 2025. Okay, so we have 5, 8, 10, 12, 14. We have 4 spots still available. Still looking for a number 1 club. And I'll be honest, I can't even remember who's out there. Do you? I can't think of who's still out there. But, well, we're about to find out. Our minor premiership winner for the year, our minor premiership winner for 2025 is going to be, I know St. Kilda's still out there. Essendon is still out there. Oh, wouldn't that be a story? Wouldn't that be a story? And wouldn't it even be a bigger story if they became the minor premiers and yet somehow that X account, how many days since, was able to continue? Oh, that would be crushing, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely crushing if that were to happen. But again, we'll know in a second here. So, our minor premiers. Luke Beveridge, you're going to get a contract extension. Because with the injuries that you have right now and how beat up your club is right now, to somehow figure out how to be the minor premiers this year, you, sir, will have pulled off the greatest coaching feat in the history of the AFL. So there you have it. We have one spot available in the top 8 yet. We're still looking for St. Kilda. We're still looking for Essendon. Okay? And we are still looking for... did we have Brisbane on there, I think, already? We're still looking for Brisbane also. So, right now we're looking at, how's Brisbane going to replace Joe Danaher's goal scoring? Okay? So let's see here. Number 9. Okay. Number 9 on the ladder. St. Kilda. St. Kilda. Okay. A lot of injuries going out there. A lot of young talent on this team. I had my discussion with Jake from Saints TV, previewing them, and he had me almost talked into the fact that they could possibly be a club that's going to be a top 4 side. Max King has got to get healthy. He's got to stay healthy. So let's get our last 2 here. Okay. Our number 8 side. Now we know this is either going to be, unless I'm an idiot and I forgot that I put Brisbane out there already, and I don't think I did. This is going to either be Essendon or Brisbane. So I have both blocks in my hand. I cannot see in there. I've dropped one. And Brisbane is coming in at number 8, which means that the Essendon Bombers, if I'm not mistaken, are my last club to make it on the list. And they are finishing number 13. So there you have it, folks. In reverse order. Number 18 on the ladder, the Richmond Tigers. Number 17, the West Coast Eagles. Okay? Number 16, the Carlton Blues. 15, Hawthorn. 14, Melbourne. 13, Essendon. 12, GWS. 11, the Gold Coast Suns. 10, Fremantle. 9, St. Kilda. 8, Brisbane. 7, Geelong. 6, the Collingwood Magpies. 5, Sydney. 4, North Melbourne. There's a shocker for you. Think about that. Think about that ladder right there. Your first final. The Bulldogs and North Melbourne. The Bulldogs and North Melbourne. And I know that Marvel is their traditional home ground, okay? But you've got also Port Adelaide and Adelaide playing against one another. I mean, who could not want to see those 2 games in the first round of finals? Who in their right mind would not say, that's one hell of a matchup? And I have to ask, I know that the Bulldogs and the Roos call Marvel Stadium their home ground. But if there was ever a time to actually move a game to the MCG and put 85, 90,000 people in there, it would be that contest. It would be that contest. So, there's my ladder prediction based upon pure randomness. And like I said, I think we could argue that pretty much any of these could happen. Now, are a couple of them a little high on the ladder? Maybe. Am I a little high for having done this? Most definitely not. But I do have my coffee over there. So, here's my ladder prediction. You'll have to let me know what you think of this one. Was this a unique idea? I kind of like this, okay? This was fun. I thought about doing this a few weeks ago, and it just seemed like a really interesting way to go about doing it, so I thought, what the hell? It was about $7 to buy the little blocks, and I have extras so that when Tasmania comes in here very soon, I'll be able to add them in there as well. And of course, we'll end up, I'm sure the first time I do this with them, they're going to end up being the minor premiers now, aren't they? So, there's the ladder prediction, okay? I will have this followed up by my actual ladder prediction in terms of what I think is going to happen. Now, are some of these clubs that I have on here ones that I think are going to play finals that are on this list right now? Yeah. Are there some that I think aren't going to play finals? Yeah. But you're going to have to wait till the transition over here to see what that list is going to look like. All right? Thanks, everybody.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that ladder prediction that I did there for you. I had a lot of fun with that. I just had this epiphany, this thought in my head a few weeks ago, and I thought there's so many clubs that you could say could play finals this year. So I thought, let's try something a little different rather than just simply being completely radical with my actual ladder predictions. I thought, let's go ahead and just see what happens if we do it randomly. And this was a lot of fun. Like I said, I did it a couple of times. I'll probably do it again next year because I really, really enjoyed it. I'll keep the those little blocks in a little Ziploc bag because I actually use that coffee container in my classroom. I'll take it back to school. But it was a lot of fun. And I apologize if the audio rode over top of it, the wrangling going on in the can there. But let's go ahead and look at my actual ladder predictions for this year, okay? And I hate to be just, brutally um, honest right out of the gate, but I think it's going to be a very rough year for the Richmond Tigers. And I do have the Richmond Tigers finishing 18th on the ladder. And I've got them only winning one game this year, going a very difficult 1-22. Now, keep in mind, they beat Sydney last year. And again, these ladder prediction in terms of games won, certainly not going to be accurate. Okay. But I've got Richmond coming in at number 18 with a record of 1 win and 22 losses. And then number 17 on the ladder, and I better keep them there since in the predictive one that I did before, I have the West Coast Eagles coming in with a record of 4 wins and 19 losses. All right. And then we get to number 16 on the ladder. That's the Western Bulldogs with a record of 8 wins and 15 losses. I just don't know if they're going to overcome all the injuries that they happen to have. But if they do, they could find themselves at the top of the ladder, like on the one that I did at random. Okay. And then at number 15 on the ladder, we've got the Melbourne Demons finishing 9-14. All right. I think this is going to be a bit of a retooling year for this club. They're getting older as well. And we'll see what happens. Again, these clubs, like I said, they could certainly move up. Bulldogs could certainly play finals. The D's could certainly play finals. They could certainly put it all together. Other clubs could stub their toes. Number 14 on the ladder, I have the Essendon Bombers. So, yes, yet another year in which they're not playing finals. I've got them finishing 10 wins and 13 losses. Okay. And St. Kilda, I have coming in at number 13 on the ladder with a record of 11 wins and 12 losses. All right. And here's the first one that a lot of people are tipping to play finals. And I talked about this in the predictive one, the arbitrary random one. I've got Collingwood coming in at number 12 with a record of 12 wins and 11 losses. And there's a lot of veteran leadership. There's a lot of veteran athletics groups there. But I just wonder, as I said, if they all get old at the same time, this club's going to really scuffle. Josh and Nick can only carry the club so far. Okay. And then at number 11, I've got the Port Adelaide Power. All right. I think this is a club that's going to take a little bit of a step back, although you could certainly argue, here in the college football heyday, there's an old line, win one for the Gipper. You'll have to Google it. They could say win one for the Hink if they wanted to do that. But I've got Port Adelaide finishing at 12-11. I've also got the Gold Coast Suns finishing at 12-11 and finishing number 10 on the ladder. So above level, okay, step in the right direction. Will Matty Rowell's contract situation become a distraction for this club? I don't know. I still wonder how they're going to score as well. This is another club, but I'm really curious how they're going to put enough points on the board, okay? And then number nine, one of last year's grand finalists, the Sydney Swans. I have Sydney also finishing with a record of 12 wins and 11 losses. I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. I think they're going to be fine. in 2026, but I think just this year they're gonna slide back a little bit. Okay, so some of you are sitting there going right now, wait a minute. There's a name I haven't heard yet that I'm accustomed to hearing at this point in time. Well, here they are. At number 8 on the ladder this year with a record of 13 wins and 10 losses, the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Yeah, I said it. North Melbourne. I really think this is the year they finally put it together and they go out there and they play to their capabilities, okay? These young men have begun to grow up. They have become, they've grown together. I just really think this is the year where they've still got a slightly easier fixture, kind of like Hawthorn did last year. I think North Melbourne is this year's Hawthorn from last year. I truly believe that, okay? And this one I'm a little nervous about here. So again, yeah, I put North Melbourne playing finals at number 8, okay? Um, I'm not sure about this one, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And that is the Carlton Blues at number 7 on the ladder with a record of 14 and 9. And they've got a ton of injuries. I mean, this club could very easily trade spots with Essendon or St. Kilda or heck, even the Western Bulldogs on this ladder if their injury situation does not improve. Okay. I think it will improve. I think there's a lot of talent here that midfield can help carry them quite a bit. But I've got them finishing 14 and 9. Okay. The next two clubs I have finishing at 15 and 8. At number 6, I have the Adelaide Crows. I think they're ready to finally take off. And Matty Nick sure as hell hopes so because he realizes he's going to take off if they're not playing finals. Okay. And at number 5, I have the Hawthorn Hawks. Okay. Also finishing at 15 and 8. All right. And now it's our top 4. Okay. In the number 4 spot, I have the Fremantle Dockers coming in with a record of 16 and 7. Okay. I think they're going to put it all together this year. At number 3, I've got the Geelong Cats coming in with a record of 17 and 6. I really think they're going to be a much improved side this year. That to me, the big key is can Shannon Neal come in and readily readily fill the void. Let's put it that way. You're not going to replace Tom Hawkins, but fill the void that number 25 is leaving behind in the Cats lineup. If he does that, and he did a decent job in that in his own right last year, and I think they've maybe hit on a good idea by putting Sam DeConing in the ruck. Okay, so I'm going with the Cats at number 3 in the ladder, which means we have 2 clubs left, neither one of them in Victoria. I have Brisbane finishing number 2 on the ladder with a record of 17 and 6. And I have GWS finishing atop the ladder with a record of 18 wins and 5 losses. So there's my ladder prediction, folks. Okay. There's my ladder prediction. Now, who's winning the awards? Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. The recruit of the year, I'm going with Bailey Smith of Geelong. Now, he may not officially win it, but let's just be honest, folks. Membership to the Geelong Football Club for women under the age of, let's say, 35, if they're not a member, they're going to join. And I've argued that the Cats should petition the league to see whether or not they could wear a jumper with maybe half the hoops on it, or could at least Bailey Smith wear one with half the hoops. That would sell even more merch. That would put more butts in the seats. So he's my recruit of the year. Okay. Even if he doesn't actually do it on the field, I think he's the recruit of the year. He's going to sell gear for that club. Okay. And let's just put it out there. That Cotton On contract sure does work out nice, doesn't it? I know there's a lot of people like to dig on them a little bit about that. So the rising star this year, I'm going with North Melbourne's Finn O'Sullivan. Okay. I just think that he's going to be one of those boats that's going to rise with their rising tide. And I think all those boats are going to come up. And speaking of North Melbourne boats, our Coleman Award winner for this year is going to be none other than Nick Larkey. Okay. And I just think that he's got some help now, and it's going to make his life so much easier up there. And our Brownlow winner for this year, our Brownlow for this year is going to be Caleb Sarong of Fremantle. Okay. So there are our award winners for this year. So let's go ahead and talk finals. Okay. We've already established who's in the eight. Okay. We'll run through them again real quick. Going from 8 to 1, North Melbourne, Carlton, Adelaide, Hawthorn, Fremantle, Geelong, Brisbane, and GWS. Okay. So in round one, GWS is hosting Fremantle, and I have GWS winning that game. Also in the first round, we got number 5, Hawthorn hosting North Melbourne. I'm going with Hawthorn to win that one. In the first round, also, we've got number 6, Adelaide hosting Carlton, and I have Adelaide winning a final. So maybe that bodes well for Matthew Nix. And also in the first round, number 2, Brisbane hosting number 3, Geelong. I have Brisbane winning that contest up at the Gabba. Okay, so we get to our semifinals. Number 4, Fremantle hosting Hawthorn. I'm going with Fremantle to win this contest. And then number 3, Geelong hosting Adelaide. I am going with the Cats to win that contest. Now we get to our prelims. Okay, we get to our prelims. And I want to make sure I wrote it down correctly, and I did. We've got GWS hosting the Cats. And GWS always seems to have the Cats number in Geelong. So I'm going with Geelong to beat GWS up at NG Stadium up in Sydney. So Cats are going to beat GWS to get to the grand final. And number 2, Brisbane is going to be hosting number 4, Fremantle. And the road team wins yet again. I'm going with Fremantle to knock off Brisbane and reach the grand final as well. And in the grand final, got number 3, Geelong, hosting number 4, Fremantle. Well, folks, I hate to say it because I may be jinxing myself, but let's put it out there. Your 2025 AFL Grand Final champions are the Geelong Cats. And I'm getting a new flag to hang up right there. So there you go. There are my ladder predictions for this year. Okay. Those are my ladder predictions. I have gone through the last many years, doing this, thinking that I never want to be so bold as to tip my club to do too terribly well because I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to jinx them. And I just decided, you know what, the hell with that. I think they've got as good a shot as anybody else. So I decided to go with them. Okay. So there, I did it. All right. So there you have my ladder prediction for this year. You'll have to let me know where I was wrong. Okay. You'll also have to let me know what you think of the predictive one that I did, the random one that I did, because I had a lot of fun with that. I just thought that was a really unique idea to do that. And if you stay tuned at the end of the episode, okay, after the closing of this episode, I will include the audio, and then if you're on YouTube, also the video, and I shot that in a different location of my practice ladder prediction. And I had a completely different turnout than the one that I ended up going with. And I only did it twice. I did not do it multiple times to where I got the results that I wanted to get. There were no edits, there were no cuts, there were nothing like that there, okay? So folks, remember you can find everything about my podcast over at one other thing about my website, ayankonthefooty.com. I did send out a survey recently to the people who are on my mailing list, and I hope you'll sign up for that. And I'm going to put a link for the survey in my show notes as well for this episode. Okay. And I'd love for you to fill it. I'm just kind of trying to gauge what your thoughts are on the podcast. What could I do better? What am I doing well? What do you like? What did I used to do that you think I should do again? What am I not doing that you think I should do? I did have some great suggestions. So if I think I've had a half dozen people fill out the survey, I would love to have 600 people fill it out. That would be awesome. That would be great. I would love to hear from you, and just to get a take on what's your thoughts on it. Okay, because if you're tuning in, you've at least discovered it. You at least think that it's okay. And I did mention in a recent post online, I ran into something that happened the other day that I just was absolutely shocked by. Okay, and I alluded to this already. But this showed up on the 27th of February, okay? And this is an organization called Million Podcasts, and I think they're a PR firm, and they try to put advertisers in touch with podcasts and that sort of thing. And they do different categories and such. But they named their best 100 Australian podcasts. They did. And guess who found their spot on that list at number 17? Yeah, me. I'll be honest, I was shocked about that. Okay. First of all, I didn't know, first of all, I didn't know that this was even coming out, but it made me feel pretty damn good knowing that somebody, and I don't know the criteria that they utilize for this, but whatever it is, I guess as I mentioned in this little post, I put a little video online. I said, I've never been really good at being proud of myself. I don't want to have too much pride on because I don't want to come off sounding cocky because I've seldom had much in my life that I want to be cocky about, or pompous, if you will. But I felt pretty good about myself when this showed up. So, um, whomever it was that recommended them, that they consider mine and put it on the list, and I had three of the other ones that were in the list are also shows that I had on as my preview guests. And if you're not gone back and listened to your club's preview episode, I hope you'll consider doing that and check out some of your rivals. And I have to tell you, I think hands down the funniest thing that happened during one of the interviews this year was with Terry Degani from Carlton and from Blue Abroad Media. And I asked a question that I had just popped into my head at that point in time, and it's one I want to ask going forward in the future as well. I asked it in the last episode after that as well, but it was a fun question to ask, and it's about the 30-minute mark of that episode. So if you want to check that one out, and it we couldn't contain ourselves. I couldn't anyway. I was laughing my ass off, quite frankly. Okay, so folks, I do hope you'll get signed up for the mailing list over there. If you like the show, tell your friends about it. Consider leaving a review as well. That'd be a huge help. Okay, that survey would be awesome if you could fill that out as well. Okay, um, that would be tremendous if you could fill that out. It only take you about 5 minutes to do that. It lets me know a little bit about your thoughts on the podcast and what I could do better. Okay, to make this um, something that could draw in even more listenership because I get roughly for each episode after the first month, I get roughly 150 downloads per episode. It's not a lot, but in the great grand scheme of things, with the sheer volume of podcasts that are out there, I'm doing pretty good as far as that goes. Okay. And I truly enjoy this. It's a labor of love. But if you would like to help out the show, you could certainly check out my store page. If you would want to click on that buy me a coffee button, you could certainly help out that way as well. Helps to keep the lights on. From what I hear, our electrical rates are actually going to be doubling here in our hometown in the next few weeks. So who knows? I may be having to do the podcast like this now. I just turned the light off for those of you who are on audio. But we'll see how that goes. But again, share the episode with your friends and family, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a favor before we go. Check up on your friends. Make sure they're okay. If you need to speak to somebody, don't hesitate to do that because the world is a significantly better place with you in it. And I hope to hear from you. Okay. I'm looking for great guests on the podcast. If you'd be one of those, I do hope you'll reach out. Shoot me an email at ayankonthefooty@gmail.com or fill out that guest form on my website as well. Okay. And I did have a new blog post up the other day recognizing a national hero for Australia. Just a really, really neat story. Okay. So check up on your friends. Get out and have that coffee with them. Go have a snag. If you're so inclined to go have a beer with them, go do that as well. Um, but ladies and gentlemen, as always, may your dribble kick never hit the post. I will catch you later. And this has been episode 379 of A Yank on the Footy. Check out all my socials on my website, ayankonthefooty.com. Give me a follow on X. Give me a follow on Facebook as well, LinkedIn, Instagram. But share the podcast if you would be so kind. Okay. And a review would be awesome. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheers and goodbye. And don't leave quite yet because, as I said, I'm going to be attaching the audio online, but then also the video on YouTube of the practice ladder prediction that I did. And I think you might enjoy it because maybe that one would have actually been better than the one that I did. Okay. We'll see. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheers. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, Craig Wessels here from Yank on the Footy, and this is my ladder prediction for 2025. Well, at least one of them. Maybe not my official one, but seeing as how this is going to be, in my opinion, such a closely contested fixture this year, I thought I should do two ladders. So let's do the first one, okay? Now, you may notice over here, I have placed on my desk, this is my desk in my family, or my record upstairs in my house, but you may notice here, I have two little pieces of wood, one of them 18, and it says Richmond right on there. Okay, so these are going to be kind of my foregone conclusions. Okay, these are what I'm saying from the get-go. And 17, I hate to say it, Eagles supporters, I think you're still a year away from being ready to make that leap up and start to get back up there again. But here's the thing. If you listen to my preview episodes this year, I made the argument that we could probably have anywhere between 14 to 16 clubs have a legitimate reason, an explanation as to why they could play finals this year. So I thought, why the hell not? Let's just go ahead and do the ladder at random and see if we can come up with an explanation as to why this could actually work. Okay, so I have our ladder inside my empty container of Cafe Bustelo espresso coffee. So let's give our ladder a shake. There you go. There you go. Sorry about that noise if it jolted your speakers and your earbuds. So let's go ahead and pull out our first ladder position. Oh, we got to pull up the round ones. Again, I'm not looking in here. We're picking the 13th spot on the ladder here now. So 13th on the ladder is going to be the Hawthorne Hawks. Slightly tougher fixture this year. Okay, they're not going to surprise anybody this year. It could possibly happen. Let's pick our next one. Oh, we're jumping all the way up to number 2 on the ladder. Wow. We're going to go big or go home already, aren't we? Let's go ahead and see. And our number 2 position on the ladder the Gold Coast Suns. Dimma, if this happens, you've won Coach of the Year, even if you go out in straight sets. Just telling you that right now. If you finish second on the ladder, you are the Coach of the Year, okay? And you have a lifetime contract to coach that club. As long as you want to coach that club, you're going to coach it. So, my ladder projection here, right here, might already have gone out the window. But we're going to leave it there for right now, okay? I'm going to give you my real one here shortly, though. Let's pick our next position. Okay? Our next position on the... Oh, shit, that didn't quite work out well, did it? Our next position on the ladder, we're going all the way to number 1. It's going to be a little anticlimactic now, isn't it? So we're going to have number 1 and number 2 on the ladder already. This is almost like the TV game show that Howie Mandel used to host. Deal or No Deal. Okay? Do I want to open up 4 more wooden spools? So, who's our number 1 team on the ladder? The Brisbane Lions. That could happen. Now, let's be honest. They're going to have to figure out how to replace Joe Danaher's scoring. Eric Hipwood is a fine player, but I think if you're going to rely on him being your number 1 key forward, it could get ugly, okay? But we've got him there. So, top 2 spots on the ladder are not even in Victoria. So let's continue. Our next spot, number 14. Number 14 on the ladder. Okay. Let's mix them up again here. The Melbourne Demons. The Melbourne Demons. I could see this happening, you know, even though we're hearing the right things coming out of the team captain and Max Gawn saying he's in the best shape of his life. And he's not going to come out and tell us he's in crappy shape, is he? He's not going to say, I'm a wreck, I'm falling apart. He's not going to do that. We've heard that things have gone extraordinarily well for Clayton Oliver, that his training sessions this year, that he's been there since the first training session and he's been working his butt off. I hope that's the case. I hope that one's wrong, because Melbourne's got a lot of talent on that side, okay? And this could very arguably be Kazi Pickett's last go-round for the D's, so they may want to find themselves back in the finals if they possibly can. But right now, we've got them at 14 on the ladder. For our next one, we're at number 12. Number 12, look at that. Woohoo, number 12. Went to the local craft store and picked these up. I'd love to tell you that I handcrafted them in my own wood shop, but we know that's not true. And number 12 on the ladder, the Collingwood Magpies. Now, I know a lot of people are very bullish on Collingwood this year, bouncing back. You've got the Dacos brothers, brought in Dan Houston, brought in some young talent, but this is still, I'm going to be honest with you, being a Cat supporter, this is still a very old list, okay? And I worry about this list in so much that if they get old at the same time, it could really be bad, okay? It really could be. But 12 might be just right around the right spot. Could be anywhere between like 7 and 12, possibly, okay? So let's go ahead and put our next slider position in here now. We have number 6. Number 6, so we're back in playing finals, okay? I'm gonna move these over here a little bit now so we have room, and try not to knock them all over the place here because I am not very coordinated. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space here, okay? So, number 6, who's gonna be playing in a cutthroat final? The Adelaide Crows. The Adelaide Crows are back in the finals according to my make-believe ladder here. Okay, so they are sitting at number 6. And our next ladder position, number 11. Number 11. If anybody yells bingo, let me know. I'll send you a prize, okay? And our number 11 ladder position is going to belong to the Essendon Bombers. All right, the Essendon Bombers. And this is a club that is a bit of an enigma. I think that Isaac Keiko, young man, looks like he could be a lot of fun to watch this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Just infectious to seeing all that amount of excitement there. So, we're moving on then to number 10. Number 10, we're getting a little closer to the top 8, but number 10, okay? So here we go, number 10. All right, let's get number 10 here. And number 10, St. Kilda. Got a lot of injuries to start out the year. Are they going to be able to weather the storm? Are they? Is Max King going to be able to produce anything for them this year? When he's healthy, kid's a phenomenal player, but he has been snake bit quite a bit, is he not? Let's go ahead and look at our next spot, and that is number 16. So we are back down towards the bottom of the ladder here. I'm going to slide these down just a little bit more here. So number 16, here we go. And who's number 16? We got some really good clubs out there still, okay? They've got a lot of injuries right now. And there are some folks that are saying that they're going to miss the 8. But are they going to fall this far? Well, according to my coffee bucket, the Carlton Blues are going to finish 16. Sorry about that, Terry. Okay, so they're down at 16 now. And up next, number 3 on the ladder. So we're going to have one spot left in the top 4 after this one. Okay, number 3. We've still got some good sides out there, do we not? Port Adelaide's still out there. Geelong is still out there. Okay. North Melbourne is still out there. Are they going to jump that far? I don't think so, but I think they're going to be much improved this year. Geelong Cats finishing number 3 on the ladder. Full disclosure, I'll take that. I'd be very happy with that. And our next spot on the ladder. Here we go. Number 7. Number 7. Okay, we got to maneuver some things around here a little bit more. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 16, but we got to put number 7 in over here. Okay, and here comes number 7. Got GWS out there still as well. Port Adelaide. Kenny Hinckley gets his club back into the finals one more time before he steps away from the club. Number 4, our last club with a double chance. Here we go. Here we go, our last club with a double chance. Well, I got to tell you, I'm very surprised by this one. This club right now is decimated with injuries, and maybe defections are not the right word, but just dysfunction right now with the club. The Western Bulldogs. There you go, Frode. The Western Bulldogs are our final top 4 spot. Okay. Number 8. Number 8. We're gonna have only one spot left here in the top before we get done here. Okay. And number 8. The Fremantle Dockers. The Fremantle Dockers. So we have 15. We have 9, and we have 5 left, if I'm not mistaken. Let me do a little bit of counting here. I've got 1 round one, 2 round ones. Oh, what the hell? I'm going to look inside, because I'm going to shuffle them up a little bit more here. 3 round ones. I think that's all I have left there. I have 3 other blocks. Yes, I have 3 spots left. We have both Sydney clubs, both who played finals last year. One that was in the grand final again. Okay. Here's our number 5 club. Here is our last club to play finals this year. Our last club to play finals. Here we go. It is North Melbourne. The North Melbourne Kangaroos are going to finish 5th on this ladder. I have to ask a question for those of you who are historians of the game. Would going from, I believe, 16th last year, all the way up to 5th, would that be the largest leap up the ladder in the history of the AFL? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. That's why I'm asking it. So we're now down to Sydney and GWS still out there, okay? And let's do it backwards this time. We're going to go ahead and pull one of the clubs first. We're going to pull GWS, okay? And let's see where they're going to finish. GWS, almost pulled the square one. GWS is finishing number 15. The curse of Jake Stringer strikes again. So, GWS is going to finish 15th, which means that on our ladder, the number 9 spot, the one club to not play finals, the number 9 spot, are going to be the Sydney Swans. So there you have it, folks. My fake ladder. And I think we could make an argument for just about any one of these. Although I do think that, excuse me, I do think that the Roos might be a little high. And I think we can safely say that Suns might be a little high in this ladder. But you can certainly make an argument for Brisbane, Geelong, the Bulldogs, if they can get healthy. Very talented side, but they're beat up right now. The Crows, I think they're ready to make a leap as well. Port Adelaide, all the talent in the world to do it there. Are they going to be able to score enough, though? And Fremantle, they're the trendy pick to win the premiership this year. So the two that are kind of the question marks, Gold Coast and North Melbourne. So there you have it. There's my ladder prediction for this year.
Okay? My fake ladder prediction. Now, I'm going to do my real ladder prediction in the rest of this video. Okay? I hope you enjoy it. I'll probably be wearing a different shirt because I probably will not do it tonight. And I'll probably do it upstairs where I record the podcast. Okay? So there you have it. You'll have to let me know if any of these beyond maybe 16 or 17 and 18 are remotely possible. Because again, let's go back from 18 down to 1, okay? We've got Richmond at number 18. We've got West Coast at 17. GWS tumbling down to 16, okay? The Blues at number 15. Melbourne at 14. Hawthorn at 13. Collingwood at 12. Essendon at 11. St. Kilda at 10. Sydney at 9. Fremantle at 8. Port Adelaide at 7. Adelaide at 6. North Melbourne at 5. The Bulldogs at 4. Geelong at 3. The Gold Coast Suns at 2. And the Brisbane Lions at number 1. Now let's think about that for a minute. Right there, you have 2 Melbourne-based clubs in the top 8, plus the Cats. The AFL, this would make them crazy if this was the case. But who knows? You could certainly make an argument for this, okay? And maybe a valid one. It might be difficult to make a valid argument for all of these, but for some of them, you probably could. So there you go, folks. All right. Cheers.